Juice box, tank top, 2 socks, do stop. Forehead shiny like a new block. 2 shots fired at the excursion we were swerving in. All-purpose verses with a passion for serving kids. Empty out your purses on an immature crime spree. Eyeing up the nurses with some gloves that read eye squeeze. Who the fuck said to speak, Mr. Me, Siamese? Even Christ said Christ. It flows quite nicely.
Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is pretty much what it says right there in the title. There's a young programmer named Miss Kobayashi, and she has a maid dragon. How did this come to pass? Well, that's a story I can relate to. One night in a drunken stupor, Miss Kobayashi just so happens to stumble upon Toru, who's seeking refuge in the human world, and the two really just hit it off. They become friends, and Miss Kobayashi finds her way back to her apartment, but once she's sobered up, she doesn't remember any of it, only to walk outside of her door and find Toru ready to go in full maid attire. Hilarity ensues. To put it in a soundbite, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is a fish out of water story. Toru has to adjust to human life while maintaining her dragon persona and while struggling to understand the human concept of being a housemaid. Why Toru decides to become a maid to this mere human is steeped in some spoilers, so I'm going to avoid that. But as the story progresses, other dragons wade into the human world to see what Toru is up to, only to find themselves enjoying the seemingly mundane joys of modern life. Hell, Kobayashi's co-worker Makoto actually hits it off with Toru's friend Fafnir, and the two begin one of the greatest bromances in anime history. What I love most about this series is how it just takes all the little simplicities of life that we often overlook and shows us how great those little moments are. Having a beer with our friends after work, staying up all night playing Dark Souls with the bros, drunken rants and antics with passing acquaintances and good friends, etc. It's those little moments that really make this show, and it's why I like other shows in the same vein, like The Devil's a Part-Timer. Yeah, I know I bring up Devil's a Part-Timer like every other video, but it's a good show, just fucking watch it. Dragon Maid is slice of life done right for an older audience. I've been there, I've done that, waiting for sales at the grocery store so I could afford to buy decent food, scraping together every dime I had just so I could afford a night out with the guys, and so many other instances. All that being said though, I want to touch on something that's often overlooked. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is perhaps the most deceptively perplexing show to come out this year. Because by all measures, this show is total trash. At least on paper anyway. I know, just hear me out here. Let me just go ahead and give you the rundown. Fan service character, monster girls, lollies that lewd themselves, deadpan lolly, effeminate young male in girls' clothing. The number of shitty tropes on display here is just ridiculous. Now see, if I had run this show past you just blind, you would probably pass it up and just say, no thanks. But that's the thing though, in spite of it being trash on paper, in execution, it's actually a really solid show, because of all the positive aspects I mentioned before. Also, I love the way it handles the dragons in this show. They're fish out of water, but they're not dumb, they've been around for centuries. At no point does this show ever disrespect its dragon characters. Not from the people running the show or even the other characters in the show, they're always treated with respect. And thus, by extension, us, the viewers, are also treated with respect. It's nice to be respected every once in a while by an animation studio. On the surface, it looks like the Arrow manga of the winter season, but in actuality, it might be one of the best shows of the year. And here's the other crazy thing I think nobody's mentioning. This show has hit that perfect sweet spot for the anime audience that we have now. Most of us anime fans nowadays, we're in our 20s, we're moving out of the house. We have our own careers now. We have to deal with all the same things Miss Kobayashi has to deal with. We have to deal with moving, we have to deal with finances, we have to deal with juggling between work and friends. So all that slice of life stuff that I mentioned before hits us a whole lot harder, because man, we all get it. And what better vessel to tell this story than big-titted, dank-ass monster girls? All that, and I haven't even touched on the other reason why a lot of people picked up this show, the awesome art style. All the character designs here are really simplistic, but this frees up the animation staff to put a lot of detail in other places. And every once in a while, the animation staff just goes fucking bonkers and just makes a fucking 10 out of 10 animation sequence. You need to look no further than the battle scene between Kana and Toru to understand this. I mean, hell, that one looks so good it actually might make my top 10 anime fights of all time video. That then brings us to sound and brings us to dubs versus subs. The sub is great, the dub, not so much.
I know the truth. You seduced her with your body. You cuckold. You slut in glasses.
But to be fair though, this is the first time I've ever turned down a simuldub from Funimation, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Also, the music. God, I haven't even mentioned the music. The music is superb and it fits the tone of the show perfectly. Everything has like this sort of carnival vibe to it, which gives you kind of this otherworldly feeling, which is perfect when we're talking about dragons coming to our world. Also, the OP is the most lit thing I have ever heard in my life. OP of the year, I'm calling it already. Done deal. Don't tempt me, bitch. In conclusion, Dragon Maid's an awesome show. You should watch it. It's pretty lax for most of its run, but it does get heavy towards the end. Heck, that just makes me like the show even more. It's a lot like Black Lagoon in the fact that everybody's going to find at least something that they like here. But let's not forget what I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of fan service here. It's going to turn some people off. But that's okay, it's fine, they just have shit taste. Also, shouts out to my boy Shota, proud member of Thought Patrol.
Be gone, thought!
Anyway, I'm Slapshoes. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take it easy.